if you're doing a lot of stuff with YouTube and you want more views, use other social networks. So like YouTube is the #1 highest source on Dig. So if you're trying to get something out and you want something to help it to go viral, use Dig to get your YouTube videos out. Use StumbleUpon, etc. One of our favorite things is if somebody links to any of our stuff, we're going to promote that blog post. If it's a good blog post, we're going to promote the hell out of that blog post because we want that to get more links and we want to get more traffic directly through that. So think about stuff like that. Think about even when you can't, if it's not something that you have, but you can actually, that you can actually leverage like that. So we're gonna talk today a lot about like the social news networks, and Brent is gonna get into kind of the content and things like that. But I want to show you guys like how they work and why people tell you, hey, Dig is good or Reddit's good or this or that. So here's like Dig. So with Dig, like the most important thing isn't just really about the traffic or anything, unless you're really working on a CPM basis. But it's more important is the actual visibility it gives you. And for anyone who tells you that Dig is dead or anything like that, they're really, really wrong, or they're using it and lying to you and they just don't like you because it's really, really alive. So for example, like here's a story on the front page of Dig. And what happens is this could be something, a website that nobody ever really saw. But what happens is so many different people go to sites like Dig, and I'm just using Dig as the example, but there's Reddit and there's Fark and all these different types of sites like that, but it's all about the visibility. So here's people going and looking, and then it gets picked up just from different authority blogs. So we all want links. It's a really good way, obviously, to get those links. Then a cool thing is like there's the sheep effect in social media always, where somebody sees something and they're like, oh, I want to share that. I want to be the first one to get it out here. I want to bookmark it. I want to send it to my friends. I want to do that. At some point maybe the government will pick up on it. They're usually like the last with everything, but mainstream press is down there too. So that type of thing. But what does that mean for you if you're that site? It means links back to you. It means stuff coming back to you, and it means people. And it means a lot of people. So it's people that had never knew anything about your website. No offense, but they didn't know you existed. And these kind of sites help you, to get that visibility, to get in front of people. So Dig, Reddit, those types of ones, those are the really big ones. But for most people, 98% of people, 99% of websites out there, those aren't going to really work that well for you because you're too commercial. But there's lots of niche sites, and niche sites that they work the same way, except they're smaller, and they become it's easier for you to become a top user there, and easier for you to get your stuff onto those homepages. So you're going to get less people to your site, and you're going to get less visibility, but you're going to be able to do it easier, and they can be a lot more targeted. So they kind of work the same way. So here's something that goes out, it gets picked up by blogs within an industry. So this is sports. Then it gets picked up by smaller blogs and smaller ones and everything like that. People talk about it on Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. So what I wanted to do was just kind of give you, Plig made it so easy for all these niche social media sites to come out, and most of them suck. There's thousands of them, and most of them suck. So I put together a list a couple of months ago of ones that actually are good, and ones that you should actually spend some time on. And again, these maybe are only going to send 100 to 500, maybe only 50 people, but they're going to be really, really targeted people. So if you're in the business, if you have a site that is focused around business, does anyone do anything with finance, anything like that? So these are all sites that are really good. Tipped, Feed the Bull, Motley Fool, and if anyone wants these slides, I'll give you my email at the end so you have this whole list. These all are sites that are focused around different parts of business, and they have very, pretty active communities where it's actually worth spending your time on it. These are like commerce sites, so shopping sites. So there's like sites like Deals Plus. There's a site called I Like Totally Love It, which is, has a pretty active community. This Next, et cetera, et cetera. So these are all places where you want to actually be spending your time. If you're doing say you're trying to sell a product, through social media, which people always tell you, oh, you can't do that. These are sites that actually want you to do that. Sports sites. So if anyone's running like any sports blogs or sports networks or anything like that, these are all different ones that actually are, that fit into all different types of things. What? Yeah, well, these are social news, but yeah, like bodybuilders.com forum. So art and design, et cetera, et cetera. So again, like I can put these slides up. It's just so you have this whole list. But the whole point being that these are all sites that exist, and that you could like fit right into your niche and really, really help you dominate. So final tips: test to find out what works. Scrap what doesn't. Don't be afraid to scrap things. You're affiliate, you're used to that, with PPC, everything like that, just, getting rid of stuff. Be active and helpful in the communities. Leverage the different sites, make them work together, and, go niche. Thanks a lot.
Next up to speak, we have Brent Satoris. He's a social media consultant. Brent also has a blog called Where to Asia News, as well as BrentSatoris.com. I know many of you won't be able to spell his last name. Just Google Brent social media and you'll be able to find him. He's the #1 result. The guy's awesome. Anywhere from Dig, Twitter, any of these social sites, including Reddit. He's top users. He gets tons of stories on the homepage, literally like every day. If you want to leverage social media, this guy knows how to. Just give him a round of applause.
Yeah, like Neil said, I do social media. I pretty much do social media every day, 7 days a week. It's kind of a passion of mine, and I enjoy it quite a bit. I started getting into social media really as an SEO for a link building strategy, and when I found out that you could get the links that you could get from social, we were getting like 5,000, sometimes even up to 10,000 links off of a single campaign. I pretty much quit SEO for the most part. I mean, I really started dedicating all my time to social media. It was a very pure way of getting what we wanted in the end of the day, and that was, really targeted, really natural traffic that in the end wanted to give us some kind of a conversion, whether it be a link, whether it be traffic, or whether it be an actual sale. It's also probably one of the only methods out there for link building and for visibility driving that's supported by the search engines, that's supported by the industry as a whole. The only other way to really get links out there is to just hope and pray. At this point, that's above the black hat level. Otherwise, you have to go out and buy links. You have to go out and beg, borrow, and steal. And most people, including myself, really don't respond much to link request emails anymore, or any kind of request that you have for the most part about partnerships or anything else, unless it's very personal and you've reached out to me on that kind of personal level. So just wanted to emphasize, the power of social media, and Chris did a really great job, like he always does, going through and explaining like the level of visibility that you truly get from this. And we've seen examples. You don't see it so much in the positive light of like, something about a story about Obama, right? It gets to mainstream media news, and you never really know how it gets there. But we've seen some stuff where people have done some kind of negative stuff where they've talked about something that was very specific and we know came specifically from social media, from Dig, and things that were hoaxes even, that were absolutely fake, and we know came totally from Dig, and that were on CNN, that were on MSNBC, on national television talking about these stories. So the level of reach that you can actually get just by submitting a piece of content and having some success in these communities it's unbelievable. So the thing that most people come to me, or any of us, with after they hear about social media is they're like, I'm sold. Obviously, I love it. The idea is great. Let's do it. What do I do now? Right? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about content, because content really is what your method to success is going to be. There's every single part of the process of social media is important, from choosing the communities that you work with, to how you set yourself up within those communities, to what who submits it, the user, all that type of stuff. But the content is really what we're trying to get the visibility for, and what we're hoping to actually get people to link to. So if your content is not above par, like super good, why is anybody going to want to link to it? So we're going to talk about the categories real quick, and then we're going to talk about a couple tips on what you should think about when you're going through deciding on what you're going to write about. So the first category is lists. And I think you can go back literally hundreds of years in advertising. A list has always been a really good thing. People saying the 10 best ways to do this, the 10 worst ways to do that, whatever. Lists are very, very effective.
10
but
Commandments.
The 10 Commandments, there you go. Great example, right? Going back even further, right? So lists have always been extremely effective. The only thing that I would suggest today is that you make sure that your list is comprehensive and valuable. People have pretty much saturated social media industry with lists. So I would suggest mixing it up, mixing your numbers up. Go with 15 best ways to do something instead of the top 15. Go with other numbers other than 10. Go negative. You could do stuff like this, the 10 worst ways to propose, right? It's a great draw for people to want to be interested in it. One of the things you have to remember is that viral content, the stuff that we're trying to get visibility, it has to appeal to everyone. It has to appeal to people that don't care at all about what you're truly writing about. So if you write something that's very, dopey about marriage, and I'm already married, I could care less about it. You have to find a way to draw me in, even though I don't care, through your hooks and through your draws. And so that helps with these lists. They're a good way of doing that. How-to baits are also really good. Most people are looking for a how-to when they're looking to accomplish something. And a lot of times, the accomplishing factors of doing that are more difficult than they're willing to do. So it's an awesome opportunity for you to draw somebody in and convert them to a sale or anything else, that happens to be if you're looking for followers or if you're looking for subscriptions. The important thing is that you really need to be helpful. Stupid how-tos do no good. Right? You need to go out and find something that's valuable. Talking about, Windows 2000 is not going to, necessarily be that effective today. So you need to make sure that you're helpful and you're current and you're talking about a solution that people are actually looking to have solved. You need to make sure you're easy to read, and you want to make sure you're very visual. Guides, just typing out a bunch of text steps in a how-to doesn't necessarily always explain it the best. Videos are almost always the most effective because it's a visual guidance of how you're trying to accomplish something. Also, just putting pictures in there to emphasize the important aspects of the how-to guide. I don't know how many times I've had guides at home, and it gets confusing, and then when you have images, it helps a lot. So. Really helpful, but make sure they're good. Current events. Current events is probably one of my favorite things, right? Most of the stuff that we're trying to push in, like Dig, Reddit, StumbleUpon, these are news sites. They care about current. It's all about voting within a 24-hour period, the most popular content on the web right now. And current events gives you a lead into everything. So by going out and setting things up and following current events, you can get a twist on almost anything that you have in a standard format for content, for ideas. You can add a twist into it, make it relevant, make it current. The important thing about current events is when you get into current events and news, you don't have time to run the stuff up the flagpole. You can't put a lot of steps in the process. So when you're thinking about your content creation strategy, you need to have a second strategy for what you're going to do when you're dealing with the current events and a news piece, because you don't have 4 hours, you don't have 24 hours to react to this stuff. You have 30 minutes, an hour to react to this stuff and have something out, or you miss the boat. So make sure that you also go out and research. A lot of times when you're doing news, you're going to be looking to tell a better story than the source that you got it from. Otherwise, you're just regurgitating the same news over and over. So go out and research, do a quick Google search, find something else that's helpful to that content, make yours better than the source, and then you will be the source through that. And be accurate. If you go out and report something and it ends up being false, or even a part of it ends up being false, or you misspell something, or you use the wrong grammar, people find that like you wouldn't imagine on social sites, and they will just execute you on spot, basically, for doing it. I mean, your whole campaign is screwed because you misspelled one word. Very serious. Last one is well, not the last one, but this one's my personal favorite. I love Offbeat and Extreme. They were talking about, I run a blog, I've run a couple sites actually that are just based on Offbeat and Extreme stuff, and I love it. The thing is it's the funnest to write, it's the funnest to get involved with, it's the hardest to sell if you're working for a company and you're like, I want to do something really, really extreme. Sometimes it gets hard. You have to always think about your brand. You always want to think about what line you're willing to cross and how far you're willing to go from your product or your cookie cutter brand, visibility. How far are you willing to risk? But if you're willing to take a couple steps and you can get away from it and you can get to the extreme side, the world's biggest this, the world's smallest that, the most amazing, those things are hooks like no other, and they will pull everyone in to look at it, whether they care about what you have to write or not. The only thing I'd say on the Offbeat stuff is also be careful of the terms of service. because a lot of these sites have terms of service. So if you go do a really offbeat, article and you happen to show some nudity in it or something, you'll get your domain banned from Dig, or even if it's not the focus and you're not doing something that's adult. So when you do extreme stuff, make sure that you're not grossing people out too far or going too far, because you can have a negative reaction from the communities. Images are great, right? There's nothing to debate. There's nothing to really argue about it. It's an image, right? So images have some of the greatest success in social. The worst thing that people do is nobody hosts their own image, right? They always throw it up on something like Imgur, or they throw it up on some image hosting like TinyPix or something like that, and then they submit it. You want to make sure that you host your own images. You want to make sure that your unique images that you think is really cool because you just found it and you're like, oh, this fits perfect to my product. It's so funny. I'm going to go post it. I'm going to get it in there. And then you didn't even pay attention to the fact that it was already on the front page of one of these popular sites a week ago. And so now you've duplicated a picture that's already been popular. Or it's been popular every 6 months for the last 10 years and people are sick of it. So you need to make sure that you have some kind of unique images or some unique twist to it. And then I would always recommend you find some way to use the image that you're trying to focus on within your content. Because people, when they see an image alone, feel pretty okay to just steal it. It's an image, right? Whatever, you just have an image hosted on some random site, they're going to take it. Whereas if you have it in the content, they're much more likely to actually try to give you a link, try to give you credit for it. And they're less likely to just straight up steal it from you. But they're very effective. I love that one sign for the flying where it's like cheap enough to say fuck it, I'll go, and it's if you want to go to fuck it, I guess. I don't know where that's at, but it was pretty funny. It was very good. So how do you use this, right? You've got all these ideas and everything. The first thing you need to do when you're coming up with a strategy for content, and I'll try to start talking fast, is you need to step back and relax a second. The first thing everybody does in marketing is how can I get my sale, right? That's the first thing you're talking about is what's going to sell, and with social media, it's really much more about the visibility. It's about understanding how extreme visibility and having your stuff out there has a natural effect of just driving more traffic, driving more conversions over time. You need to believe in that and step back away from trying to get your quick solution, your quick fix, your quick win. Look at it as a long-term strategy and step back and say, what are my goals? Am I trying to build links? Am I trying to get a higher traffic volume on my site? Am I trying to convert? Am I trying to get links from places that will send me converting traffic? What's your goal? And then look at your desired keywords, your one-worders. This is what I do. I do insurance, so I want to rank for insurance. Now, okay, whatever. But the point is that you want to look at your targeted phrases and then step back away from that and say, what is related to my targeted phrase? What's in the same ballpark, but a little bit, separated, a couple rings separated from my focus? Because you don't have to have a focus that is absolutely on your product in order to convert people. You want to get people that are in the general vicinity of interest in what you do so that you can have that across all fields viral nature, but still end up getting the links from people that are going to likely have the success that you want in search or likely send you people that would possibly convert or sign up for your site or be interested in what you do. The next thing you want to do is research. It sounds like common sense, but you'd be amazed at how many people don't even take the time to look at what's worked, right? I mean, these sites aren't new. They've been out since 2001, 2002. Chris mentioned there's forums that go way back, and we were talking about the 10 Commandments. This stuff's been around for a long time. Go out and find out what people have done. Why reinvent the wheel? You can just change it a little bit. Go out and find 100 different examples of what people have done over the last couple of years that has been super successful, and then adjust it, mend it to what you want to do, make it new, make it current, So we're going to talk about how you can find it on social sites, competitors, and search engines, what worked and what didn't. First thing is social sites all have search engines. They might suck, but they all have search engines within their site, and they almost always resulted in what was the most popular, what had the most traction, right? That's what they want to show first. So you can go and search stuff like your key phrases, your related key phrases. You can even go and search other people's domains, and you can find what has been done on social media that has been successful. So you jot all those ideas down. Then you jump over to doing competitive research. Take all of your competitors' URLs and stick them in the search engines within these social communities, and you'll get a result of all the stuff that they've done. Have they been successful at all? Do you have a place in competing against them? You can figure all of this stuff out from that. Also, if you have a hard time with the search engines within these sites where they don't provide it, you can always do Google. You can do the site : URL and then space and the keyword, and it will give you the results only from that site. So you can actually get the title, keywords from that, and you can also get the domains from that. Search engines also are great because they run algorithms to try to determine quality. So if you go in and type stuff like top your keyword, best your keyword, greatest keyword, and things like 100, 50, 101, how to, those type of things will result to you content that doesn't necessarily ever have to have been in social media, but is high quality and that could feed to your ideas. You've got a lot of ideas now. You should. What do you do to prioritize? Which stuff are you going to do? How are you going to do it? These are the factors I want you to really remember to think about. One, what's the most likely to succeed? If you don't succeed, there's nothing more to it. If you never get the visibility, then it doesn't matter anything else because you never get the visibility. So what's going to be visible and what's going to actually allow you to succeed in social? Then, what's going to be beneficial for your site? If it doesn't succeed, what's going to actually benefit your regular readers? Even if it does succeed, what's going to fit close to home? What's going to be happy for your regular readers, your brand, and your conversions? What's going to drive that type of stuff? What's the most likely to get links? Are you writing a story that's going to be gone tomorrow and nobody's going to link to it a week from now? Or are you writing a cornerstone, evergreen content that 5 years from now, if somebody finds it, they still want to link to it? That's why I love extreme in images, because that stuff never dies. Like years and years later, if somebody finds it, they still want to link to it. And then what's good for your writers? It doesn't do any good to really go out and say, I want to do the 15 most popular games ever to exist, and then give it to somebody who's never played games and say, write it. It's not going to pass the knowledge test. It's not, and they're not going to be as amped to write it. So you don't have to have a journalist to write your content. Your assistant or your PPC manager or whatever could be the best writer you ever have because they have passion. And they're going to talk about it, and they're going to have an interest in it, and they're going to go that extra mile. And that's what you really need in your social content, is to always go that extra mile. Because there's only about 0.01% of content that gets promoted. And all the content in there is pretty good. So it's not, I've got good content, I'm going to succeed. It's, I've got content that's better than the other 10,000 articles that are out there. I want to be the one in 100 that makes it. Some quick tips, solve all that up. Involve your staff. You've ever done brainstorming? It really sucks when you're one person, you're like, I got to come up with 20 ideas on what to do this. But if you start talking to somebody and you bounce ideas back and forth, it's really easy to come up with 20 ideas. So when you're involving people in this content creation process, get a lot of ideas, a lot of feedback. Let everybody bounce, off of each other's ideas so that you can get a bigger list. Tie in what you've gotten used to doing with current events. So when a new thing comes out, tie it in on how you're going to now you're going to get online, education loans because of the recession. Tie it into what's current and make it work for you. Plan for success. There's no point in going through all of this if the first time you get popular, your server crashes. You need to make sure that you can handle it. Or you've got a ton of links coming into a page that you never even linked to another page on your entire site with. So you're not getting any conversion. You're not getting anything out of it. You need to make sure that you think through what are you going to do when you succeed. And don't accept crap. Seriously. We all know what good content is. You can look at it and you can say, this passes my I'm not going to throw it out test, but is it really that good? And we all kind of settle for a subpar level because of the effort put in. You need to go for the gold. You need to really put the time in your content because this is what's going to convince all those people that don't care about you and don't know you, whether they're going to link to you. And CNN and all of these sites that we talked about, Washington Post, they don't link out to anybody. They're only going to link out to you if you're quality, if you're worth linking out to. And that's what you're looking for in the end, is that good, solid linking, that good exposure that's going to reflect upon you positively. So take the time to really do it. Probably going to be a lot of questions from everybody at this panel. Come up afterwards. Feel free to drag us out in the hall and talk to us for hours. It's what we're here for. If you need the slides or you want to contact me, cheers.
All right, our last speaker, Todd Mallicoat, aka Stunt Double. He enjoys getting hit by cars. His blog's also stuntdouble.com. Check it out, read it. Todd's SEO at heart. He's been in the industry for a long time. Then he turned to social media, and he does consulting as well. But unlike a lot of SEOs, what probably will resonate with a lot of you guys is he set up his own sites, used social media, got him ranking for a lot of competitive terms, let's say in the financial, education, and whatnot spaces. Got him ranked and did really well as an affiliate. So welcome, Todd.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to try to really crank through this since Brent's nice and amped now, and he's ready to. I can see he's fired up and ready to answer questions. He got himself fired up during the presentation. And I'm going to go against everything Chris said and the 4 people that didn't like. I really like crowd participation, I gotta say. So I want to get you guys involved a little bit. First, I want to know who's affiliate managers versus who's affiliates first. So I just want to know a little bit of the audience. So now, how about affiliate managers, networks? Okay, so about 70-30 maybe. Okay, so I'm going to do tracking on the cheap. I like to do it cheap. And you got to know once you're getting involved with this, now what you're going to track, what you're going to know that or how you're going to know that you're successful. So let's see if I can. That wasn't it. There we go. All right. So we're going to start with when do you track, what do you track, and how do you track it? I did presentations for years and asked everybody, who's using analytics, and it would be like 12 people in the group, and now finally I've done a presentation where everybody said, yes, we're using Google Analytics, we know about it. So the answer to like 80% of these questions is going to be Google Analytics, but setting up Google Analytics and knowing what you're going to use is the bigger question, and some of these other things we'll go through as well as some other good tools. So when you're going to track is you're going to start with your research. Before you're deciding what to track, you got to decide what you're going to do. So that's where Brent came in, that's where Chris came in. They said this is what you're going to actually research and do. So you're going to do your research up front. That gives you a little bit of chance to set up your tools, to prepare what you're doing, to know what you're going to be tracking, to set up those metrics in advance, and also do some of that competitive research that Brent talked about. So you're going to do this beforehand. You're going to do that competitive research. You're going to go through all of the different social sites and say, what was the most popular on Dig? What was the most popular, or what was the most stumbled on Stumble? What was most popular on Reddit? Google for specific titles. If you have an idea in mind, you've done your content generation, brainstorming, you're like, we're going to do 100 ways to X. Make sure to go out on Google and see if that's been done before, so at minimum you can reference that article and go back and include some of that stuff and reference the people who have done it in the past. Then you're going to go out and check out some of those search results. Then you'll take it a step further and maybe do it on some of your competitor sites. You can go through some of the social search engines. There's a cool little toolbar here that 97th Floor just did recently, social media for Firefox. You can, as you're surfing, I don't like the idea of sitting down in a room and brainstorming with 10 people sometimes. You're going to get your ideas as you're surfing. In that 10 minutes after lunch when you're like, I just want to goof around and hit stumble upon for a little while, or I just want to surf the web and see what everybody's doing. You're going to see this stuff in the toolbar, and you're going to start noticing that, and you're going to notice what's successful on social a little bit more subconsciously as you're surfing the web versus sitting down and trying to force out ideas as you do them. So start a nice bookmarks folder, go through and have something like this turned on. Search some of the social aggregators, pop URLs. What are some good other social aggregators that kind of aggregate everything in one place? Ideas? Okay, time's up. So, all right. So, social aggregators before the creation. Does anybody got to watch? Can somebody time me and let me know when I'm at like 7 minutes or something? Yeah. Okay. I'm already timed. Okay. Cool. I'm at. You'll tell me when I'm at 7. How about? Okay. Cool. I want to leave. Like I said, Brent's amped. He's ready to go on the questions. So, Quarkbase is another good one to check out for social aggregators. Do your competitors through Quarkbase, and you're going to get something a little bit like this. Through Market Motive, which is training, my little 2-minute or 30-second pitch is Market Motive's internet marketing training. One of the many things that I dabble in is training over there with those guys. They got great stuff on analytics that's much better than what I'll be doing today. But we have our demo site is Kids Toys. So we always look at toys, so Toys R Us. We look at what was successful for them. Delicious, they've had 314 bookmarks, 55 pages posted on Dig. You can take that a step further and see what was actually successful on Dig, Delicious, all these other social sites. Great way to check out your competitors. So there's 2 ways to go about it. You go keyword or you go competitor for your research. And then you take this a step further. Looking at, this was one that was almost successful. I looked at a competitor, or I looked at toys, or I forget what I searched to find this one. And this one almost went. This was 130 digs. It was really close to going. This is one that could be redone just a little bit better, and we could take this to the next step, maybe reference this, and ours might be the one to get pop and get 1,000 digs, and then go popular and go viral. So as you're doing those searches, like I said, we did toys, look at what was most popular, sort by most digs, and you get some great inspiration and ideas for what you actually want to track. Same thing with Stumble. You're going to do most stumbles, most bookmarks. And the idea here, like Brent said, he got it into it for link purposes. I do it solely for link baiting. I want global link popularity. I don't want anything else. The traffic, everything else is great. For big brands, that works perfect. For affiliates, I want link juice. That's the sole purpose, is to do some great link baits for some link juice. So take a new twist. Like Brent said, stretch the relevancy, take an idea, and go way off topic. Just as long as it's somewhat relevant, get one of your keywords in there, and the goal is global link popularity. It's not necessarily 100% relevant. One of my favorite examples of this is this one here. It was an auto dealership in West Palm Beach that did 8 diseases that give you superhuman power. Totally off topic. This one's stretching the idea of relevance to the extreme, but scale it back just a little bit and find one thing that relates to a great, fun idea, and then use that for your social media piece. So when do you track? Again, your preparation, make sure to set up Google Analytics in advance, have your code on the page, any of your tools that you're going to use for tracking the success. The title, you're going to want to put into Google Alerts, you're going to want to put into some of the tools that I'll talk about in just a minute. You can set up some ranking checks in advance, set up your keywords, just some basic keyword ranks, to rank checking to see where you were before, where you are after, based on the success of your social media push. So have those baseline metrics, number of feed subscribers. That's going to be one of our conversion metrics, is number of feed. If anybody subscribed to your RSS feeds, a lot of times you're not going to get direct conversions. So you want to have kind of some sub-conversion metrics, some key performance indicators of what you improved on by doing the social media push. When to track, again, 7 days right after the push. Make sure you're checking everything out 30 days later, 90 days, and a year. And it's amazing. You start seeing just how much one successful push can do. And it has to be a consistent kind of thing where you're doing this day after day after day. So what do you track? Again, traffic, awareness, links, engagements, and conversions. Conversions you're probably not going to see a lot of from social media. Unless you're selling social media software or a WordPress plugin or something like that, probably not a lot of conversion. What you are going to do is traffic. You're tracking your unique visitors, your page views, your time on site, make sure people aren't bouncing, reducing the bounce rate, that sort of thing. Awareness, this is where it gets a little trickier. This is where it gets more into the branding aspect of it, and we'll look at a couple tools, and the tools are constantly getting better. This is what everybody's asking right now, is how do we track social media effectively? And it's the branding portion that's really hard to put a price tag on, or a real monetary figure. But mentions is a good one. How many times was our company, our site mentioned? How many times was it referenced? Just in general. Links is a little bit more quantitative. You can see really specifically what you've gotten from it. So track inbound links to the page and section, total trust to those links, the authority, and the anchor text are 4 different metrics you're going to want to. 3 minutes, great. So engagement. Again, this is kind of with the awareness, same kind of thing. It's difficult to track engagement, and with Twitter, this is a big thing to me. Every time I get into a conversation about Twitter, engagement is one of the first words that comes out of my mouth, because it's not important that you have 10,000 followers. It's important how engaged those users are. Are they really paying attention to what you're saying, or are they just out there, logging in every once in a while, seeing 1 out of 500 tweets that you do? So the way you can track engagement with your social media pushes, content on your blog, comments on the site, comments on on Dig or Delicious or wherever, people commenting on the actual submission, the length of the comments, if people are really engaged that way, number of contact emails you get, all these are going to be engagement. Okay. I'm a little bit too fast? No. Okay, cool. All right. So conversions, again, it's not going to be direct conversions. You're not going to make sales a lot of times, but I'd consider an email newsletter sign up a conversion, an RSS subscriber a conversion, any kind of lead generation. All this is going to play into your conversion-oriented metrics. So finally, how? We know what we're going to track, we know when we're going to do it, and now we're going to look at what we're going to use to actually track each one of these. So with traffic, again, these are the metrics you're looking at to track. The answer here are easy, Google Analytics. Awareness, starts to get a little bit tougher. How do we look at brand mentions? How do we track article and campaign mentions? Here's probably the nuggets in my presentation today, is the tools that would be used. There's a lot of these out there right now. These are just what are coming into play, is some of these great tools for tracking awareness, tracking mentions, knowing how many people are actually talking about and retweeting the stories that you're doing. And then, again, engagement's another tough one to actually track at this point. So Boulevard status, BLVD status, this is one that was referred to me. Definitely worth checking out.
I love that.
Yeah, I know, Chris, you're using that one. Say good things.
Marketer who created
Yeah.
that, and it's a really good program.
So that's right up there on the list. Andy Beal does Tracker, which is pretty good. You can use Google Alerts for something like this, but he's got it paired up with Google Alerts, and there's a couple add-ons here for it's pretty reasonable nominal fee from Andy there. I think he may even have a free version, but just a little bit better than Google Alerts in terms of tracking awareness. Same Point was another good one, kind of just an advanced Twitter search. Great. You search whatever it is. This is where you want to have the title of your article and say, okay, I just submitted it. I submitted it's delicious. It's kind of starting to get out there in the Twitterverse, in the blogosphere. Who's talking about it? And you can watch that real time. Just like if you search ASE 09 right now, you can see people constantly updating the comments to just how fast Stunt Double is talking during his social media presentation. Search.Twitter is going to do the same kind of thing. You search whatever it is. Great way to just monitor the real-time conversation. Who's Talking is another one that I just came across, starting to dabble in social media tracking. I think they're still beta, so they're still free, which is nice.
That one's like there's one. The good thing is called Big Ears. Who's Talking.
Okay.
And
So
see
I
if
think
you can
that's
get
what
the
this
data
actually
for
is.
that. It's actually really good.
Yeah, and it's multiple search engines in one place aggregated.
And it'll
Yeah.
email you the updates and everything like that.
Gotcha. I'm on it. Almost done.
All right.
50 slides. Okay. So Raven Tools, another one great on the list. We mentioned Quarkbase, and I think KISSmetrics is what's the launch date on it? Yeah. Since you're moving me along, what's the 2031?
Michael,
I like
before I
that.
die.
2030s launch before I die.
So KISSmetrics maybe someday we're hoping for. And again, Linkscape, Yahoo Site Explorer, and Technorati are the freebies. Engagement, this is again where it's getting tougher. You're just kind of commenting. What's the WordPress plugin we use for comments? Intense Debate is a good one. Just kind of watch after that. The kind of zen of tracking at this point is getting to be Google Analytics, which is kind of the standard for everybody, and Salesforce. So if you can put those together, or whatever other CRM it is, and do actually leads and analytics and tie it all the way through, that's kind of the zen of conversion. I'm going to skip the example since we're kind of out of time. This was a private investigator, 905 or 55 digs, equated to 250 links. It's hard to beg for that many links when you're an SEO or you're an affiliate. So some of it's going to bomb. Your expectation should be 20 to 30% once you get good at it. For a while, it's going to take you a while to get good at the research and writing process. And then what to expect, anywhere from 30 to 50,000 visitors, and what you really want is those high quality links. Don't expect sales, AdSense clicks, great anchor text, or link juice directly from the social sites. That's not what it's about. It's about getting repurposed on other high authority sites. You should expect, always have that subscribe to RSS feed and hope for increased global link popularity. So we kind of covered when do you track, what do you track, and how do you track, and we didn't even get to who you track. So still plenty of tracking left out there for you to figure out, and hopefully we've got a couple of minutes left for questions.
One question is, you mentioned trust of inbound links.
Mhm.
How do you measure trust of inbound links? Well, how would you measure the trust of an inbound link?
There's a few different toolbars. Linkscape's probably the best one out there right now, or Majestic SEO is comparable.
Trust factor, is it trust metric?
Yeah, absolutely. So the difference of getting a link from the New York Times versus just random blog, yeah. Even if they're the same in terms of page rank or whatever, the Times is a much more trusted source, so you're going to get more bang for your buck.
SEO would be the best one?
I think Majestic SEO is priced cheaper, or a lower price point. I don't know if there's any free tools to do trust. No.
I mean, you can just
You can kind of,
You can kind of tell.
yeah, you can kind of tell. It doesn't have to be an exact science. I don't
PR
think,
is
with-
another good
yeah.
way of getting a first look at what trust is. You know, Google trusts based on their PR toolbar rank.
Yeah.
So does Frank could say more trust is 5 is more trust than 4?
Yeah.
That's a real rough indicator. Sure.
It's real rough.
Real rough.
Real rough,
Yeah,
but-
yeah.
Brent, you were asking about how to mix up your content, or talk about mixing up your content. For current events, do you have any sites you specifically recommend to stay up to date with recent content? I'm thinking of the fitness niche, bodybuilding specifically.
I don't really necessarily focus as far as that specifically from what I do. What I try to do is use Google Alerts and Google News specifically, the alerts from the news. You know, I sort it by recent so I can get stuff right away because they're pretty good about filtering. I try to use other people's filtering mechanisms and get their results pages to keep me on top of stuff. A really great thing to watch right now is the Twitter popular terms for the day, because Twitter tends to get it before anybody else, what's popular, what's going on, celebrity names and stuff like that.
There's a cool site called WN.com, and it's just like a huge aggregator of like every kind of piece of content you can imagine. It's all broken down. It's really good. I don't know like if it gets as niche as like health or fitness. I mean, obviously health, but you know, that I would check that out because it gets stuff from everywhere.
Talking to the
WN, I think it's like World News, WN.com.
There's another one if you email me later, real quick answer. There's another one that's from the UK. It actually aggregates every single news agency, every single thing like that, and puts it down by time, date, everything like that, and by category and by country, everything. So it's really, really good, but it's not very visible, so I can't remember it all.
Just a quick question for Chris and Todd. What are your thoughts on the Fireboy tool set? Just if you could give me your opinion
I'm
on
really impressed with it.
I've
You
heard
wanna
it's still
stand up
beta,
and,
but, yeah.
give a demo?
Are we allowed to talk about that? I thought that was kind of a secret thing. Yeah.
Talk about it?
Yeah, it's this guy Avi with the orange hat. It's his tool.
It's coming out about the same time as KISSmetrics, is what
You
I've
guys
heard.
can all check it out. All right, next question.
Yep.
Yeah, I write a geeky blog on water power issues, which are interesting to very academics and government guys, but not generally. But I have an idea for a blog which I think will have much more interest. Is this appropriate? Can I write a press release for that in the same format as I do for the blog, which is I link to articles and then link the meaning of the article.
Yep.
Of what people are reading between the articles.
So a press release, unless you're like Apple announcing the new iPhone or something like that, is usually not going to work. You know, it's just not interesting to social media users for the most part. I'm not sure if that's the question, but
Yeah, the problem is that people don't really care. I mean, at a general level, people don't know you, people don't care. And when you're going social, you're not going niche unless you're doing niche sites. Right, and then if you're doing niche sites, then it depends on what your message is. But when you're going for the big social networks, you have to find a way to take that, repurpose it so that everybody would love it, right? You know, like maybe the world's tallest water tower, or you know, the coolest painted water towers, or something like that.
I know, but the reason I asked the question is because that you had part of your presentation was about news articles or really
Sure.
stuff that's really offbeat. Well, you can't just post that on your blog and expect everybody to beat a path to your door.
No, you have to use social media.
you're
to
the
get
one
that
trying to get
visibility.
that out.
Oh, and so your point is you put it on your blog and then you click, and then you participate in the other forums and then come back.
Yeah, until you become a source where people are actually going and looking for it so that they can you got to be a little bit proactive.
Maybe if
Press releases are not part of this agenda.
Sorry?
And you would not think of press releases as part of this. as
No.
way of
it's
getting-
People
a
hate
separate,
press
yeah, it's a totally separate. They can be used together certainly. Public relations
you
and
can-
social media
right.
is one of Chris's specialties for sure, but two separate beasts for sure.
Yep.
What do you mind sharing your site or what what's the industry or the
I write on there. A big thing in the future will be the space between water and power. You need water to make power, and you need power to make water.
Okay. So what I'm fishing for here is not necessarily a press release of how great your technology is, but maybe 100 reasons why water is very important in the process of making electricity, or 100 scientific facts. Yeah.
Go to the science of it.
Yeah.
Another cool thing.
Explain the science behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, that we didn't even mention, but that works so well now are like infographics, where you explain something geeky or very factual, but you make it into a graphic because people are really lazy and that like they can look at everything in 2 seconds and be like, oh wow, that's cool. But it works awesome.
Yep.
Social's got to be something you would pass around after lunch.
One more question.
Yeah, if particularly for smaller sites, affiliate sites that don't have a big brand, you write great content that you think might do well. Maybe you post it on the social media sites yourself. But beyond that, what can you do to help?
Well, unfortunately, it's not as easy. It's just like a real-world situation. If you walk into this conference and nobody knows you, your voice is not going to be heard. You have to establish yourself within each community. So if you're going to do it yourself, you have to really have a long-term strategy where you're going to dedicate one person to doing social media. They're going to be involved in the community, chatting, commenting, talking, learning. You're going to have to become a respected member in that community. That's why a lot of people don't tend to go that route.
Just real similar to public relations you hire a PR firm to do because they know the public, or they know the writers and they know the editors. Same kind of thing. The social media consultants know the power users to get it distributed, or they are. Yeah.
I mean, I just want to say what
It's
Brett said,
unfortunate, but
it seems to be an argument for brand advocacy. I mean, it seems to be an argument for PR 2.0, Edelman approach of taking stars and turning them into superstars and then rejecting them out, which seems to be what they say to be done.
yeah, in some sense. I mean, it's just you're taking it online, and when you take it online, it changes the avenue that's accepted, right? It's a little different, in social, it's not meant. Nobody wants to be pitched in social. They're not there for you. They want